With the UK moving forward towards mandatory digital ID and Switzerland having already approved their own eID scheme, the real question that's being brought up is around trust. Are we moving into a world where digital identity is necessary to unlock everything in our lives?
But at the heart of it, a lot of it, is the fact that we as humans, you and I, are not actually real in this digital world. We're represented like ghosts as bits of data, normally just a string saying, Jacoby@gmail.com or whatever it is, right? Which makes us, first of all, not citizens in the sense that systems are citizens, and a citizen has a name and it can talk directly to other citizens face to face, and those citizens are systems. They're not pieces of data. They trade pieces of data. Sure, data's commodity to them.
In this world where we have billions of humans and AI agents operating, your proposal is that every single AI agent or human have their own digital server, which guarantees they are who they say they are.
It means they can do face-to-face comms, face-to-face communications, interactions. They can be online 100%. That's another really good thing.
Baseline.
The baseline is designed to create an emotional response.
I've seen things you won't believe.
More human than human.
Make you question everything.
That's the key thing which we're trying to make real in Magic. It's not where your data is, it's what you do. And the emphasis is on you. So as far as somebody else is concerned, are you doing it or is it some interloper? But it's what you do which is the important thing.
And do we not do that now?
Well, if you consider, if you just break that phrase down, what you do, the thing that does in the digital world is a system. A system is as real in the digital world as we are in the physical world. And you need to understand that the digital world is real. It's not now a vague imagined thing, it's real. The reality of the physical world is very apparent to us. When we're talking face to face, you know it's me, right? Because here I am, and we can bump fists and do the rest of it. We have to understand systems do that too. They talk to each other directly, face to face. But the face to face for a system is not a bumped fist or an eye contact. It's a message sent to an address and a reply received from that address. And the question is, what is the address? Because that is the counterparty with whom they are talking. You've got to understand that reality, that the digital world is real, and try and imagine it as solid before you can answer the question of what does identity look like? Because systems have no problem with identity. They know exactly what it is. It's another system that they talk to by name.
So in that world, what are the challenges with current ways of doing things? And many people would ask, Jacoby, why are we in a situation now where that digital world is realer than ever, yet we have more high-profile phishing attacks, cybersecurity attacks, and big UK companies especially, eviscerated through digital assaults on their supply chain, on their systems. Never before have I seen the amount of high-level cybercrime and cybersecurity issues that exist. And whilst I know Magic ID is not solving for that, this idea that the digital world is now realer than ever
Yes.
is certainly played out in.
That's a really good insight. And it's interesting that the thing that we need to make us understand it's real is crime. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a weird thing. But clearly that's what we need to understand it's real. What you just asked is actually multifaceted. So the aspects of systems, whether they talk to each other or not, that make them susceptible to, for example, hacking, or susceptible to having data extracted for them and then that data misused. That's a whole stack of issues, ranging from the network up to the operating system, up to the apps, up to the people who operate the apps, the people who, for example, can be persuaded to give entry, courtesy of a bribe. I mean, that's right at the top, right? Courtesy of the routers that may be insecure, right down at the bottom. So this is a multifaceted, multi-layered question. But at the heart of it, a lot of it, is the fact that we as humans, you and I, are not actually real in this digital world. We're represented like ghosts as bits of data, normally just a string saying, Jacoby@gmail.com or whatever it is, right? Which makes us, first of all, not citizens in the sense that systems are citizens, and a citizen has a name, and it can talk directly to other citizens face to face, and those citizens are systems. They're not pieces of data. They trade pieces of data. Sure, data's commodity to them, but they are not pieces of data, they're systems. Well, the thing is that you and I, we're not a system. Therefore, we're not citizens in that digital world. If we are a system, then we're a citizen. And we trade data rather than just being the data that is traded. Look, that sounds like semantics, but it's not. It's really important for each of us as human individuals face to face in the physical world to be able to be face to face in the digital world as well with other systems, particularly systems like google.com, fb.com, for Facebook, you name it, right? And that's the thing which we are not right now. That's not the whole problem. I mean, what you said was a whole stacked layers. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot in there, right? But at the bottom of it, our ability to be powerful as individuals, equal with other systems in the digital world, means we have to be a system. There is no choice. That's the reality of it. It's like the physics of the digital world.
Well, that's a fascinating way of looking at it. I have not really seen it like that before, the idea that we need to represent ourselves as a digital,
Active.
Yeah, an active digital
System
thing within the digital world.
Which can be directly addressed face to face by other systems who then know you're real.
So at the moment, I would guess our email address is our key identifier. Which
great
feels-
example.
It's happened. Email feels like something that should be long gone for me. It's woefully inadequate for many of its applications.
Yeah.
Your journey spanned Google, Onfido, is it Quench.ai?
Quench AI, set up by Hussein, a remarkable man, who was the founder of Onfido.
And now obviously Magic ID. Take me through that journey and how that has shaped the way you view things now.
Yeah, it's been quite a long journey, I suppose. Not spectacular by any means, but some interesting data points in it. Before Google, I was an entrepreneur in my own right, and I suppose afterwards as well. And did a lot in insurance, for example. At Google, I learned the power of centralized systems on a distributed internet. They took a distributed peer-to-peer internet and said, we'll have all the power, please. We'll have it right here. And that is google.com. There are perhaps 4 or 5 such companies. We have an enormous concentration of power, and the form that power takes is data. The personal data aspect of that, because remember, this is layered and there's lots of facets to this, right? But the personal data aspect of that happens to be really important because guess what? Our data is the thing that allows people to impersonate us because data is our representation. And over the time since Google and then at Onfido, which was an identity company where we thought deeply about what you might call portable identity or distributed or peer-to-peer or decentralized identity. We did a lot of work on that. I've got really interested in identity and how it underpins a lot of problems that we face today.
And where are you? So what's your proposed solution to the problems we face today?
My proposed solution is very simple, which is that we have to be a system, each of us, or multiple systems if we like, so that when we do stuff on the web, we do so as an equal with the other systems that we talk to. The obvious examples are the Googles and the Facebooks and what have you, but other examples would be your supermarket, your bank, when you buy tickets, venues, shops, anything. All of these things, if you imagine yourself now as a system rather than a piece of data, a string, like, doodar@gmail.com, a new way of interacting becomes possible.
So everybody has their own domain?
Yeah, their own system is a better way to think about it, but yes, it has a name in the domain name system. Yeah.
And how is that going to solve for this challenge? How do you, I am trying to interpret what you're saying. And what we're saying is that there are some meta companies who own these highly concentrated and centralized domains that we are quote slaves of.
Yeah.
And I mean that in not that we're a slave, but we're a function of that centralized.
Yeah, we're the commodity. Yeah. We're the thing that's traded. Yeah.
And that causes all sorts of issues.
As it has turned out. We wouldn't have predicted that, but yeah.
Issues in terms of our identity being sold to people who are looking for certain profiles of people. A lot of people would say, what's the problem with the current system other than loads of junk mail and a couple of businesses get hacked every now and then? Like, what's the fundamental problem with how it sits at the moment?
That sounds like quite bad. Junk mail is a solved problem. That's not an issue. I can't remember when I last looked at substantial amounts of junk mail. The odd thing creeps through, you hit the unsubscribe or block, don't you? That's easy. But the other aspects are serious. There are bad effects to being hacked. So I don't think anybody has any argument about that. So the way things are has panned out as a historical accident. It's a surprise to most of us. The fact that centralized platforms that publish stuff from unknown people, many of whom are bots, has turned out to matter. We would never have thought that back in the day. I mean, I remember when I was at Google, we were fighting Facebook and realized that social media was a thing. And so there was a colossal effort within Google to bring social media in-house and turn it into a thing. But we couldn't have predicted at that time where it would lead in terms of political upheaval and so forth. And to be a system and to understand why that's important, you have to have a really deep understanding of the reality of the digital world and understand it's parallel and real to our physical world. So I think that's my kind of philosophy on this. And certainly in Magic, it's what we're trying to do is provide, without anybody noticing, a daemon, if I can go back to that analogy, the other half of you, which is real in the digital world, not a pretend, not just a ghostly piece of data that can be copied, traded, treated as a commodity, misused.
So what does our daemon do for us in this digital world?
Well, as we actually do it today, what it does is it runs applications which are business applications in your system, such that a business, such as a shop, when addressing you, addresses your system directly. The way we've done it in Magic, you have no idea this is going on. It looks completely conventional. We've done this thing we call Magic Links, and we've done a thing called Magic Offers for merchants that goes with that. And it looks like a fairly straightforward, and it is indeed a fairly straightforward app for offers, 4 stamps, get 1 coffee free, that kind of thing. But the way it works is fundamentally different. By giving the individual, both consumer and shop, a system, and that's the thing that those are the things that talk to each other. If you did but know it. But what I've found in the world of identity is that, and I've been in it quite a while, is that if you surface identity and try and bring that front and foremost, it's of no interest to people because actually they're just trying to get stuff done. So it's much more about getting the stuff done with the correct form of identity, the only identity that makes sense underneath it. But you cannot present that identity underneath it. That cannot be the presentation. It means nothing to anybody except people like me, perhaps you, who are identity geeks.
I mean, you're doing some really interesting work with Military Connect, US veterans, to try and support them getting better deals, preferential commerce. Why? What benefits do they get using trusted digital identity over clicking links in an email distribution list?
Nothing wrong with a click and link. So don't feel that's an either or. The email link, or the way we do it in Magic Links, is a SMS link. That gets you to your daemon. And you don't even know it's a daemon, not unless you bother to ask or bother to look. Well, for them, what it gives them is the ability to have affiliates instantly know who the customer is, who has been referred, and instantly know whether or not they're military accredited. So that's to do with an accreditation, which is done through, I can't remember which identity provider, but there's a military identity provider we use for that. And it's the speed of the affiliates being able to use it. The affiliates, for example, when you bounce from Military Connect to an affiliate, such as 1-800-FLOWERS, they do not have to talk to servers. They can instantly know through a signed token that this individual is a Military Connect member. And they can process some UI changes and present a customized UI direct in the browser, or they can have their system, their back-end.
So it's digitally guaranteeing you are verified as part of a community.
Yeah, and that's done through the simplest of all possible mechanisms, which is the verification of a signature. And guess what it is that verifies the signature? The answer is your system. So because they know when you come to a site, they know it's your system.id or whatever it is, and it literally doesn't matter what the name is. When they verify the signature, they verify it by talking direct to that system. It's like face-to-face. That's what systems think of.
Peer-to-peer.
Yeah, I prefer face-to-face. And I'll tell you why, because peer-to-peer's got technical meanings and it's kind of fluffy. Whereas if two systems talk to each other and they're face-to-face, it means one directly addresses the other and the other directly addresses back. That's face-to-face for systems, and it's the digital equivalent of you and I being face-to-face.
How is the world going to change as we start to see the proliferation of AI agents? This whole shift from call centers, from businesses being fronted by people to being fronted by AI agents. They're going to require the ability to store a record of their work, identify themselves, not be replicated or pretended to be by somebody else. Because if you're moving away from the people to digital instantiation of humans on through voice, through video, we're moving to a very different world. And those AI agents may not live work-wise for 50 years and work through a career. They would come and go, they'll be respawned, they'll be recreated. It's going to be a much more dynamic, progressive, accelerated set of digital operators on the behalf of a business or it could be a public service.
Yeah, I think that's again hugely multifaceted. The way I imagine this, I wrote an article, I think a couple of years back now, explaining my view of that, which is that businesses will become things you talk to informally, rather than what we have now, which are very sort of app-driven affairs. I mean, if you go and talk to your bank now, or what that actually means is you log into a bank app and it gives you app-like data. I imagine a bank turning much more, I don't know why I picked banks actually, but anyway I have, much more something you just ring up and talk to. That, hi, I'm Jacoby. I noticed a payment go out for £15. It seemed to be an Apple thing. What is it? And the bank would say to me, which one are you talking about? The one last week? And I'd say, yeah, that's the one. And it would say, oh, well, that's a telephone.
Is that a phone you're on there?
I'm literally talking to the bank like a person.
Impressive.
Right? So again, we've got this visualization of a digital world with real digital beings in it, which are systems, having to conduct this absurd sales every time that they need to do something with a human, whichever way around it's initiated, right? And that is a colossal problem, and it comes about because you're not a system. If you were a system, there'd be no issue. It'd just be talking to Ian.id. Well, it always talks to Ian.id, and it's face to face. Thank you, I know who you are. So I think that's a way of looking at how we do this today. And it's really problematic because I might talk to, my supermarket, my bank, my what have you, and each time I've got to go through the sales. And that's how things have developed.
I'm still trying to understand what you're saying. So this idea that we're a system,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Exactly that. You have a system and it's yours. And any other system.
So does it sit on our phone? Is it an app that sits on our phone?
No, it needs to be a named system. When systems talk to each other.
So where is it registered?
It doesn't matter, it's a name. So when you talk to another system, put it this way. Supposing you framed the whole log-on as a one-way problem. What you've assumed right at the beginning of your conversation was, well, no, I'm talking to Barclays. And why do you know you're talking to Barclays?
Because we're in the app, we've gone through the thumbprint.
Yeah, let's be really specific about it.
We're physically, traditionally you'd be in a physical branch. That's gone.
But
now
we're
you're
not, right? But
now you're within their
exactly.
branded app.
You're within their branded app. But possibly a better way to look at it, so just come out of the app world just for a minute, is say, well, it's barclays.com.
And you get a little green padlock in the browser.
Yeah.
The browser would authenticate the domain.
But very specifically, it's that name, barclays.com. You know you're talking to Facebook because guess what? It's fb.com.
I think Meta, but yeah.
Is it Meta these days?
I don't know.
Anyway, meta.com. But at the bottom of it, that's what it is. It's that name. You know that name. There is only one barclays.com, right? Why am I choosing Barclays? I don't know, but there we are, I've done it. But that's the thing. You have to have that thing. You have to be Ian.id. Systems can talk to Ian.id. The next day, they can talk to Ian.id.
And how do we prevent other people from spoofing Ian.id if it's just a name?
How does Barclays.com prevent other people spoofing Barclays.com? It's just a name.
You tell me. As far as I understand, the browser
Yeah.
does some form of validation.
That's right.
But HTTPS, so you've obviously got secure HTTP, you've got
Brilliant.
certificates.
Marvellous.
So you have public and private encryption keys that allow you to validate a URL through
Correct.
some sort of encryptive algorithm that has a private and a public one that validates. So there's a digital handshake.
It all works, doesn't it? That's what I mean by digital systems being face-to-face. They use all that. It may not be perfect, right? But it's developing at quite a rate. And that's
So in this scenario, everybody has their own private key and a public key.
Absolutely. Well, multiple thereof. I mean, just so long as you know you're talking to Ian.id, I'm talking to Ian.id. I don't even need to know your real name. I'm just talking to Ian.id.
And where is that? Is that stored on? Where is that stored?
Well, the domain
How
database.
do I keep that secure?
Right. Okay. New stack of problems, right? How do you keep a system secure? and your system as en.id. Let us assume, just for the minute, there is a set of solutions to that. Because, after all, is not google.com secure?
If I summed it up, what you're saying is everybody becomes their own IT organization with all of the technology that large central organizations have. So where does it sit now?
Daemons are in the cloud, so we at Magic maintain the data center that has got the first set of daemons in it. But we would very much like, as soon as is feasible, to get those daemons distributed into other data centers. So anybody who wants to license web daemon technology and offer Magic IDs, we will certainly talk to them.
So to sum it up, in this world where we have billions of humans and AI agents operating, your proposal is that every single AI agent or human have their own digital server, which guarantees they are who they say they are.
It means they can do face-to-face comms, face-to-face communications, interactions. They can be online 100%. That's another really good thing. So, for example, a business can choose to talk to your daemon at midnight and not disturb you. You can come back with stuff. There's so many possibilities associated with that.
How do you see this playing out over the next 3 years with the public sense of digital identity increasing because of obviously what the government's doing, what we're seeing globally as a trend? How do you see this technology and governmental identity oversight kind of evolving?
I think governmental identity is a good thing, and it works beautifully with the idea of a web daemon. So if you think about it, it's merely the association of en.id with a government credential, which is associated with en.id. If you can ask that daemon, subject to your permission, for that credential, bingo, we know en.id is good. It's not entirely that simple, but something along those lines.
Yeah.
So the proliferation of, say, government identities, Onfido's own IDVs that we used to do in the old days, and what have you, those can be associated with a daemon quite easily and provide that, what you might call the credential that bridges the system, we trust the system, we're talking directly to it, with a particular human. And then there's the question of, and is the human in control the right human in control at this moment? That's a little digital authentication, which is substantially solved by the smartphone. So the way I see it developing in Magic is that we focus less on identity, more on the apps. So my feeling is that we continue to develop apps which we know are useful. And we're getting traction already for Magic Links and Magic Offers, much greater than we expected. And we continue to build out those apps, and then in the fullness of time, we open it up to other developers. As a matter of fact, we already have, but I expect no interest until it's proven. And those apps are what will drive the adoption. So what I want to see is the graph of daemons doing that. As it becomes apparent, the apps are really useful, and they save a lot of time for a lot of people in terms of interacting, authenticating, just getting on with the stuff you want to do, rather than being always tripped up by security.
This proliferation of AI, do you see these servers being, whether it's irrelevant, whether it's a human or a digital AI agent behind them? How do we support people identifying where it is AI and not a human being?
Well, there are times this matters and times it doesn't. In the time it matters, it depends on the app. You know, I've spoken about these web daemons, these personal servers. You can visualize it sitting on your shoulder, but it's your pair, right? I've spoken about them running apps. So if you consider, for example, a merchant, and they provide an app of some sort, and that app is loaded into your daemon. The question is, when that merchant system talks to your daemon, the thing they talk to is their own API. So the question of is it a human is kind of secondary. Maybe they don't care whether it's a human. If they do care whether it's a human, okay, I completely accept that. At this moment, am I talking to a human? This system might ask that question. The vast majority of times that's not needed. I mean, the huge majority of times. Sometimes it is, so go ahead and do it. But that's up to the app. So it's less about the underneathy, it's more about the on toppy bit, which is what you're trying to do at the moment. Think of the daemon as a capability into which businesses of one sort or another load their apps. They then talk to your daemon, but they talk specifically to their own API on your daemon. And that's a slightly unusual way of that's how we work at Magic, and I admit it's very odd, but it works.
It is interesting how you have a very different perspective on this than I expected.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually given me a fresh view. You're operating with a great deal of experience across some of the most complex and successful technology companies, Google, Onfido, with amazing innovators that have brought phenomenal products to market that service billions of people every day. You've brought this perspective to me that, operating at that level that you are, which is securing these digital transactions through a source of identity that's provided by each actor within that action. It's in many ways the way you position that is it's irrelevant whether it's a human or an AI or a system or a machine or an API. You're operating within that trusted transaction.
Yeah, because the one thing that systems do when they talk to each other is they do trust they're talking to the system they think they're talking to, because digitally they are face to face. They don't have the problem.
So based on our ability to build technology that allows those systems to speak natively and in a trusted way within that digital world, and the way we'll see AI leverage that technology to integrate seamlessly into the both physical world and digital world and the bridge between the two. Do you believe AI will take us to a utopia or dystopia?
Neither. I think that AI is a technology like any other. It's built, as we see it today, it's built on stolen data. That's happened though. The ship has sailed. So that centralized aspect of AI has happened, and we must accept it and move on. The question of identity in AI is much more nuanced. So we've now got these colossal large language models which behave in ways even their inventors did not expect. I think I'm right in saying it's a surprise to a lot of the people developing these models how remarkably good they are. It's surprising.
We are in a computer game.